Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, we started with parts of speech. Our first lecture was about noun, and we had the second lecture about pronoun. This third lecture is about verb. Verb is a word used to describe an action, state, or an occurrence. Forming the main part of the predicate of a sentence. Verb is a word used to describe an action, state, or occurrence, forming the main part of the predicate of a sentence. This definition of verb has two distinct features. The first distinct feature is that a verb describes an action, it describes a state, or it describes an occurrence. And the second distinct feature of this definition is that the verb forms the main part of the predicate of a sentence. So these are two distinct features of this definition of verb given here. If there is some confusion about predicate, let's a bit describe it to facilitate your understanding. Predicate is the part of a sentence or clause containing a verb and stating something about the subject. Well, predicate is the part of a sentence or clause. It contains a verb and it states something about the subject. Do remember that a verb has the following four forms. A verb falls into four forms. The first form is termed present indefinite form. The second form is termed past indefinite form. The third form is termed past participle. And the fourth form is termed present participle form. I have here gathered a few verbs to exemplify verb and its forms. The first verb is used. It, it is its present indefinite form. Used is its past indefinite form. Used is also its past participle form. And using is its present participle form. Similar pattern follows the next verb. Look, present indefinite form. Looked, past indefinite form. Looked, past participle form. And looking, present participle form. The other two verbs given below also follow the same pattern of forming their different forms. Devote, devoted, devoted, and devoting, and state, stated, stated, and stating. These four verbs follow a particular way or a particular pattern to develop their different forms. What I mean is that the present indefinite form follows either ed or d to develop their past indefinite forms and past participle forms. There are a large number of verbs in English language which follow the same pattern to develop their different forms. Either we put D with the present indefinite form and we develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. Next follows the verb speak. It is its present indefinite form. Spoke is its past indefinite form. Spoken is its past participle form. And the same way speaking is its present participle form. The next verb follows is see, saw, seen, and seeing. The next verb is write, wrote, written, and writing. The first four verbs given as example here follow the pattern as I have already described, that we use either D or ED with their present indefinite forms, and we develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. These three verbs speak, see, write follow a bit different pattern to develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. The first the first form, present indefinite form of the verb speak is speak. Its past indefinite form is spoke, different, and its past participle form is spoken. These three verbs follow a different pattern or a different way to develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. There are many verbs which follow this pattern to develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. Thirdly, these are three verbs given as an example to signify a different way which some verbs follow to form their present indefinite, past indefinite, and past participle forms. The verb is put. Its present indefinite form is put. Its past indefinite form is also put, and its past participle form is also put. No doubt, present participle form is putting. But these first three forms are the same, and we can determine their meaning or sense regarding tense from the context in which they are used. The next verb is also the similar example. Hit, hit, hit. These three forms are the same, and hitting is its present participle form. Cut, cut, cut. These three forms are the same, and cutting is its present participle form. So there are some verbs in English language which have the same first three forms. Their present indefinite, past indefinite, and past participle forms are the same. These are some basic ways or patterns to develop the different forms of verbs in English language. There are two kinds of verbs. Transitive verb. A verb is transitive if the action does not stop with the doer but passes from the doer to an object. What this definition means is that these verbs require an object. He killed a snake. The sentence requires, or the verb requires, a snake, the noun phrase, as an object to be complete in its meaning and sense for the reader. I drank a glass of water. The verb drank requires a glass of water to be complete in its meaning and sense. And if we detach the noun phrase used as an object here, a glass of water, from the sentence will not carry complete or meaningful sense for the reader or listener. The third sentence is the children sang a song. The noun phrase a song qualifies the verb sang, and if we detach the noun phrase a song from the sentence may not carry complete meaning, rather it would be somewhat obscure. The second kind of verbs are intransitive verbs. A verb is intransitive when the action stops with the doer and does not pass from the doer to an object. What this definition means is that these verbs do not require an object to give complete meaning or sense, rather, they themselves give complete meaning or sense wherever used. They sleep is a complete sentence and the verb sleep does not require an object to be complete in its meaning or sense. He left is a complete sentence and the verb left does not require an object to be complete in its meaning or sense. We laughed, and similar is the sentence the child wept. Both these sentences, the verbs of both these sentences, do not require an object to be complete in their meaning or sense. They are themselves complete for the reader or listener to understand. Lastly, there are some auxiliary or helping verbs. An auxiliary verb is that verb which helps to form a tense or mood of some other verbs. Helping verbs are of two categories. There are two categories of helping verbs. We have divided helping verbs into two categories for our convenience. Following helping verbs fall into a category: is, are, am, was, were, had, have, has. The following helping verbs fall into B category: do, does, did, will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could, must, ought. The primary point noteworthy about helping verbs and auxiliaries is that they indicate tense of a sentence wherever they are used. Primarily, you are required to remember that these are auxiliaries are helping verbs used in English language to indicate tenses of sentences or a text. If you feel necessary, I might recollect the points I have detailed in my lecture. First, we defined verb. Verb is a word used to describe an action, state, or occurrence. Second, it forms the main part of the predicate of a sentence. Thirdly, predicate is the part of a sentence or clause containing a verb and stating something about the subject. A verb falls into four forms: present indefinite form, past indefinite form, past participle, and present participle form. There are different ways or patterns to develop different forms of verbs. These first given four verbs are of different nature, that they follow D or ED with their present indefinite forms to develop their past indefinite and past participle forms. These three verbs, speak, see, write, are of different nature and they have a different way or pattern to develop their forms. For example, speak, spoke, and spoken; see, saw, seen; and write, wrote, and written. The next three verbs are of different nature. They have the same present indefinite, past indefinite, and past participle forms. There are two kinds of verb: transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Afterwards, afterwards, there are auxiliary or helping verbs. An auxiliary verb is that verb which helps to form a tense or mood of some other verbs. It forms the tense and mood of some other verbs. These auxiliary or helping verbs are divided into two categories. A category has the following helping verbs: is, are, am, was, were, had, have, has, And the B category has the following auxiliary or helping verbs: do, does, did, will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could, must, ought. I hope that you have gathered a bit primary and essential structure of a noun, what a noun is and how it develops into its different forms. Your questions are invited if you feel any inconvenience. Thank you. God bless you.